Have you ever had a moment where you look around your life and suddenly everything feels heavy? Not just the piles of clothes on the chair or the drawer that barely closes, but the mental weight, the emotional clutter, the things you've held onto just in case, the habits you outgrew, the people who drained you, and the stories you kept telling yourself that no longer felt true. I had that moment a few years ago. And it didn't start with some dramatic breakdown. It started with one quiet afternoon, standing in my own home, realizing that I didn't recognize the life I was living. But I knew I wanted something softer, something lighter, something that felt like peace. Today, I want to tell you the story of the best decluttering decisions I've made, not just in my home, but in my mind, my relationships, my routines, and how these decisions slowly rebuilt the version of me I'm proud of today. So, grab a tea, get cozy, and let's take this gentle journey together. The closet that held my old self. I still remember the day I opened my closet and felt genuinely overwhelmed. It wasn't just clothing, it was versions of me I no longer was. There was the trying too hard to impress people wardrobe, the maybe someday I'll fit into this again pile, and the I spent money on it so I should keep it section. But the real turning point was when I realized something. Every time I opened that closet, I was facing the person I used to be, not the person I was becoming. So, I made one of my first decluttering decisions. I decluttered my identity-based clothing. Instead of asking, what did this cost? Could I wear this again someday? I asked, does this feel like me now? Does this make me feel confident, comfortable, or at peace? I let go of the clothes that made me feel like I was performing. I kept what made me feel at home in my body. That decision not only created physical space, it gave me emotional space to grow into my authentic self. Letting go of the just in case drawer. Ah, yes, the just in case drawer. The one filled with cables I didn't know the names of. Old receipts, half broken gadgets, and pens that probably never worked. This drawer was the symbol of something deeper, fear of not having enough, fear of the future, fear of letting go. I held onto things because I was scared one day I might need them. But what I really needed was to trust myself. Trust that I could handle life as it comes. Trust that I didn't need to hold on to useless things to feel safe. So the decision was this. I decluttered the things I kept out of fear. And with every item I let go of, I felt a little braver, a little lighter, a little more capable. The emotional box under my bed. This was the hardest one. Under my bed was a box of letters, photos, keepsakes, and memories I didn't know how to process. Some of the items were from people I no longer spoke to. Some were tied to painful moments. Some held versions of me I had already healed from. I avoided this box for years because touching it felt like reopening wounds. But one day, I decided it was time to declutter memories that hurt more than they helped. I kept a few meaningful things, the ones that made my heart soft, but I let go of the items that made me feel stuck in chapters I had already outgrown. And that night, I slept better than I had in months. Because I wasn't sleeping above old pain anymore. I had made room for new memories. Decluttering my digital life. Here's the thing. Clutter isn't just physical. Sometimes the heaviest clutter lives in your phone. The endless notifications, the photos you never delete, the apps you don't use. The constant comparison from social media, I realized I was drowning in digital noise. So I made another big decluttering decision. I decluttered my digital world to protect my mental world. I unfollowed accounts that made me feel insecure. I deleted apps I didn't need. I turned off notifications. I cleaned up my camera roll, and suddenly, My mind felt quieter, calmer, like I could breathe again. Digital decluttering was one of the best decisions for my mental health. Decluttering my yeses. This one became life-changing. For so long, I said yes to everything. Yes to events. Yes to favors. Yes to responsibilities that drained me. And without noticing, I had decluttered everything except my schedule. One day, after feeling overwhelmed and exhausted, I asked myself, why am I saying yes to things I don't even want to do? So I made one brave decision. I decluttered my commitments by learning to say no. And that no became a yes to myself, to rest, to peace, to time, to breathing room. This decision transformed my life more than any drawer I ever cleaned. Letting go of people who didn't value me. I think we all reach a point in life where we look around and realize some people aren't meant to stay. Some don't support your growth. Some drain your energy. Some only show up when they need something. Some don't clap when you win. And the hardest part is that sometimes these are people you once cared deeply about. I learned this lesson slowly, through heartbreaks, disappointments, and quiet realizations. So one of the most painful but powerful decluttering decisions I made was this. I decluttered relationships that were rooted in obligation, not love. I didn't cut people out with anger. I simply chose to distance myself from anything that didn't align with the peace I was building. And when I did, I felt myself return to myself. Sometimes the biggest healing happens quietly, when you finally choose your peace over their presence. Decluttering the need to rush life, I used to feel behind all the time. Behind in life, behind in goals, behind compared to others. I rushed everything healing, success, routines, self-improvement, as if life was a race. But then I realized something profound. I was living fast, but I wasn't living deeply. So I made a new decluttering decision. I decluttered the pressure to rush. Instead of asking, how do I do this fast? I asked, how do I do this peacefully? This shift changed everything, my mornings, my nights, my self-worth, my happiness. Decluttering the rush was like learning to breathe again. Decluttering my self-criticism. This one is still a work in progress. I used to judge myself harshly for mistakes, for not being productive enough, for not being perfect, for simply being human. One day, during a quiet moment of reflection, I told myself, I deserve gentleness. So I made another decision. I decluttered the voice in my head that told me I wasn't enough, and replaced it with one small, loving reminder. I'm doing my best. This decision has changed every part of my life. When I look back at the best decluttering decisions I've made, I realized something. It was never about the stuff. It was always about choosing peace, about making room for myself, about creating a life that felt aligned, intentional, and soft. Decluttering my life helped me meet myself, the real me, underneath all the noise. And if you're on this journey too, I hope this reminds you, you're allowed to let go. You're allowed to create space for joy. You're allowed to build a life that feels good on the inside, not just one that looks good on the outside. Thank you for spending this hour with me. If this touched you, consider subscribing so we can continue walking this gentle path together. Here's to living lighter, softer, and truer.